So hello, Ventura Pop-Up Yoga community. I'm here today with Cam and Lauren, and we're doing a little virtual interview with them. Cam, taking over the events in the last couple of months, had this idea that it would be beautiful to not only feature our teachers, but to let you into their sort of behind the scenes world of what makes them tick, and also some things that are really important to them, including some charity work that we'll be talking about at the end of this that they're going to be offering later on this weekend. So hello, Cam and Lauren, welcome.
Hi.
So I want to just, we could do the simple, how did you get into yoga? And we'll talk about that a little bit, but I want to know a little bit about who you guys are. So first of all, just where were you guys born? Let's take it all the way back.
Oh.
Tell us where you came from.
I'm from Denver, Colorado. So I grew up in the snow and found this one out in Hawaii. But we both wound up back in her hometown. But I guess I'll let her tell you about that a little bit.
I was, as he just said, I was born in Ventura, from Ventura. I lived in Oxnard a little bit, though, when I was little. And now I'm back in Oxnard. So, hey, come full circle. But
all
yeah,
the way around.
Yeah. I'm a Ventura baby, though.
How'd you guys both end up in Hawaii? What took you out there?
Well, I finished college and was kind of trying to get away from a toxic relationship, to be totally honest. And I wound up in Hawaii after living in Australia for a year, and was kind of practicing yoga the whole time. And then
nice. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was actually in college at the time at Cal State Northridge, and I was doing interior design as my major, and surprisingly my major was impacted and I couldn't get into any more classes for the next year for my major, and I had done all my general ed, and so I decided to pivot, and I signed up for a national student exchange, and a couple of places I picked Guam, Puerto Rico, and Hawaii.
Nice.
And you know what? And then I also applied for Australia for a full year exchange, which they obviously didn't get back to me as fast because I think the school timing is different. But Hawaii responded first, surprisingly, because they're never fast about anything, I swear. I was like, wow, they were the first ones to respond. So I decided to go there. And I also was kind of like dealing with some love turmoil at the time and was like, I need to get away. And also family turmoil. I was like, I need to get further away. So
understand that.
I was like, I need space and a new life. So I went to Hawaii.
So so just like going into Hawaii, because this is where we're going now, it's like how long were you both in Hawaii? Who got there first?
I did.
Okay.
Longer than
and then how long was the delay between you guys meeting each other there?
We met, so I got there in 2007 and I met him in 2012.
And I got there in 2009, so I was there for a couple of years.
Okay, so you extended that year into a few years, then it sounds like, Lauren.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I was on exchange for only supposed to be either a semester or a year, and then I just never left. I ran it.
I love that. So is interior design still part of your life?
Actually, so I ended up having to switch majors in Hawaii, and I have a physical geography degree.
Okay.
Not kind of similar, but not not at all. but I was all for the environment. Okay. But I totally forgot what I was saying.
That's okay. Now my next question is, was it love at first sight, or did it take some warm up?
It was for half of us.
Oh, okay. Now we got to go there.
Oh yeah. Well, to Lauren's credit, she was just getting out of like a kind of a weird relationship. Yeah. Starting to notice a theme between us. But we met in our yoga training. So I saw her and I was like, that's the one. And she was like,
Aw.
this guy.
Yeah.
And the pursuit was on.
Yeah. I was like in my yoga training on this like spiritual path of like being celibate for the rest of my life, I thought.
Totally, yeah. Attainable.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm never going to date ever again. I'm healing from a very toxic relationship. It was like abusive. And really grateful that I was able to get out of that. And so when Cameron came along, naturally, all my defenses were like, nope, we're out of business. There's no entering. So unfortunately, we were naturally close because we just got along well as friends. First and foremost, I think we are friends.
You didn't tell everybody about the first time I came up and talked to you.
Yeah, now you have to.
It's so ridiculous that I just had to throw it out there.
Yeah, so I'll never forget. It was the first day of our yoga training, and we're on our lunch break, and we're all just eating our lunches, and I'm talking to one of the other students, and Cameron comes up with some cantaloupe and a Tupperware that he's eating. He goes, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, "Hi." And he's like, "You want some cantaloupe? It's in." You want some cantaloupe? It's been in my backpack all day. It's kind of warm. I was like,
charmer this guy.
That's okay.
Romantic.
It was delicious though.
Smooth operator over here.
Yeah.
Cue the music.
Oh.
That's awesome. So
Needless to say, she was dazzled from that point on.
Yeah, I was probably not as nice as I normally am in life at that time. I'm really sorry. But hey, it landed me a husband.
Yeah, water under the bridge.
it all worked out, right? So you guys are in teacher training. Was this both of your guys' first teacher training? Your first 200?
Well, technically, I had one. I went to a Baron Baptiste training before that.
Okay.
But this was our full 200 hour.
Yeah.
And I had become a personal trainer just prior to this. So I basically just did like a 1-2 of doing training and then jumping into a yoga training.
So how does that, I mean, just to kind of play off that too, for anybody who's watching, it's like, if you're been in the fitness world and stuff, like how did your mindset with fitness, and I know you said you'd done yoga before, but it was like, how do you make that transition from being a fitness instructor into the yoga world? And did that blend for you, or was there an evolution after a while?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really shaped the way that I ended up training people, because I think going into the yoga training, I kind of had a misconception about what I was going to be doing with it. And, you know, obviously after what was 9-week training?
Long time.
After 9 weeks of being immersed in yoga pretty much daily, I kind of came out the other side and I was like, oh yeah, yoga's like not just physical activity, you know? So I was one of those people that went into my yoga training with a totally preconceived notion that was pretty much completely wrong. And it kind of changed the way that I view pretty much everything. And all of my training clients after that were predominantly focusing on breath, and they were lifting weights and stuff like that. I ended up working at a physical therapy clinic as a trainer in a medical gym. And I would say that the stuff that I learned in my yoga training was more useful working with injured and older clients than anything that I learned in any of my personal training stuff. So
that's really cool. And I think that you hit the nail on the head, because I think that any of us that have gone through a teacher training, we've all gone in probably with an intention, but the experience that you get out of that first 200 hours, I think it transforms your world. I mean, it doesn't matter how much you've practiced and studied. To me, there's something about that first 200 hours, like what you go in as and what you go in expecting, it shoots you out something completely different. Would you say the same thing, Lauren? Or what was your first, you know, maybe with the Baptiste, but then also into this, you know, full 200 hours? So what was your experience from like student to becoming teacher?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really big transformation. I think like the funny thing about me, like even when I had the Baptiste training, was like I hadn't really had a ton of experience with any other yoga than Bikram yoga because that's what I had started with. And then I went and I knew I wanted something different or something else. And I did this Baptiste training, having like hardly any experience in that. And I was like, just doing it. My boss at the yoga studio actually, she sent me there, and I kind of like paid her back by like teaching it off, I guess, essentially.
Okay.
Teaching off what I owed her. But that was really a great opportunity. I'm so grateful because I'm a teacher because of her. And I think like going in just really like how Cameron said, like you just don't even really understand what yoga is. And then you start to see and feel these changes within you, which you kind of already do as just a student. Like I had noticed these things, like little things here and there, like, oh, well, my breath, I can use it when I'm anxious, and, you know, different little things that my teachers repeated would pop up. But I think like going into the teacher training, it's important just like for everybody to do. Like I think even if you don't want to teach, it can be such a valuable experience, because I think at the end of it, I was more proud of my teacher training certification than I was of my college degree.
I can double whammy that.
Yeah, I was like, I can't believe I did that. And I feel like there's been so much growth in such a short amount of time, you know? So yeah, so I definitely felt like I was different.
Yeah. Well, and you know, just knowing you guys too, I've only known you guys for a year. It's almost exactly a year that we first met, and just getting to see you guys progress in the pop-up community over the last year, teaching through a very crazy time. It's been so beautiful to know you on the mat, but also knowing that the life that you guys lead is, well, it's not yoga completely. It's all sort of woven around these passion projects that you're working on. So if you guys are open to sharing a little bit about what you guys do outside of your teaching, I think that would be really cool, because I think it's something that that our yoga audience could really grasp onto, and some bigger picture stuff too of what we would love to eventually bring to pop-up that is both on and off the mat too.
Yeah. Well, okay. Guess we'll start. Woo! Many of you may know that I am almost finished with my yoga therapy certification. Woohoo! So I'm going to be a yoga therapist. It's not a psychologist or an actual talk therapist. Basically, it's taking the deeper aspects of yoga and applying them in a one-on-one situation in a therapeutic way. Because even though the original intent or goal of yoga isn't necessarily to be used therapeutically in that sense, it has so much healing power. So there's so much wisdom and so much knowledge and healing power there, because ultimately this human condition of, you know, suffering, we all suffer from it. So so all of that is within yoga, within these limbs, within the essence of it. So you can kind of bring that and apply that in so many different ways in your life, even if you're not trying to, you know, connect with the divine or be one with the universe. Those small things, the small goals of yoga.
Yes.
But yeah, so I bring this kind of therapeutic aspect to people, and specifically trauma. So trauma and anxiety, depression, that's kind of my heart, where my passion is. And I actually work with people at a trauma clinic in LA, one-on-one, doing yoga therapy with them. And it's been one of the most interesting, rewarding, difficult experiences I've ever done. And I'm very proud of myself for, yeah.
It's been amazing watching you dive into this and just hearing some of what you can share. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's so great. And Cameron's been a really good support with all this. And yeah, so those are just some of my passion outside of just teaching classes. Cameron's got some good stuff brewing right now as well.
Yeah. I'm really proud of her. She's kicking ass.
She really is.
Yeah, it's been amazing to see, babe.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm doing all, gosh, I spent the whole day.
What are you doing, Cam?
Too much.
Mustard.
Cam's doing some self-care. I want to give him credit on that. You know, it's like, if I can just kind of like pat you on the back a little bit, it's like, as one of our first male teachers that we've had in a long time, it's been so cool watching Cam kind of bring men together over the last year. And that's something we'll dive back into in the spring. I was going to say semester, but season. And to me, that's such an important part of yoga that's not touched on a lot too, is, you know, this sort of masculine world that's out there. And Cam's been reaching out to us lately and just saying, you know, I gotta back off a little bit and really focus on the passion projects and not spread myself so thin. And I think that's such a hard thing for men or women, it doesn't matter, in our society, to say like, I'm doing all these things that are so awesome, but I really got to like fine tune like the pieces that are important so I can give more attention to them. So I just want to give you kudos for that, Cam, because it takes a lot to like step away from something that you do love doing in order to like really bring yourself into something that could mean even more for yourself and others too. So
Thanks, Jesse.
Yeah,
it's I guess that's kind of like a side effect of just having spent so much of my life just kind of building things around yoga, you know, and she's this constant reminder because Lauren's just way more grounded than I am in general, but just bringing things back down. And lately it's just been, I mean, we have our moments, both of us, but you know, having the, you know, just kind of the internal realization that if you don't take a break once in a while, you just burn out. And I've done it so many times. And right now, you know, it's just, we've got so many irons in the fire, you know, and I'm developing this music stuff with, you know, performing for pop-up and just getting back into music, which is what I got my degree in college, and building our websites and developing our business. And there's so much stuff going on. And I feel like, especially when we're talking to people who may not typically go to yoga class, like guys, or, you know, the reason that we reached out to first responders is like, these modalities of healing that we can kind of access and we have a little bit more understanding of can be so readily applied to people that really need it, you know, and especially right now with COVID and everything, everybody's just so stressed out, and just being able to stop and take a breath, you know. And I don't know how you guys feel about this or what other yoga teachers will have to say, but I feel like people have actually, they've been taking it easier in yoga classes. I think that is just a sign that people are like just fried, you know, because it's not as prevalent here, but we've always gotten used to teaching classes where people are just like constantly pushing themselves way past what they probably should. They actually get the benefits that are really going to help them. And I feel like right now everybody's kind of able to access that through yoga in a way that's just a little bit more intuitive for themselves, you know. So, and I feel like me backing off is kind of an indicator that I'm walking the same path. So hopefully I'm able to convey that to some of the guys and the girls that come to the pop-up classes.
Yeah. And I think you're so right with that too. I don't think I've really put all those pieces together, but it's like, I think part of what quarantine and all of this stuff over the last year has really taught us is that, you know, like you said, it's our nervous systems are fried, this constant fight or flight and like in and out and in and out. And it's like, we finally realized like how important the breath is and how simple sometimes it can be just to like help yourself clear that. And then also other times how much more interwoven it is, you know, when we find those really deep triggers of something that's going on out there, and how just holding that space for ourselves, that container, it doesn't have to be so much of like a pushing like through a yoga asana practice anymore. It can be, you know, as simple as Lauren's Monday Night Yin class. It's like we've had a huge audience and not this season too, of just like really wanting to have somebody hold space for them to slow down and breathe, you know, because it's like now that we're kind of back in the world of whatever the world looks like right now, it's like, do we really want to push ourselves because everything else is pushing us to the edge? Does yoga need to be the thing that like pushes us over the edge now, right? So Just before we move on to the next thing, Lauren, and coming back to your yoga therapy, is that something that students can reach out to you to do privately, or is this just something that you're offering through the firm that you're working with in LA?
So yeah, I mean, right now, due to, COVID and stuff, I'm mainly doing sessions with clients either online virtually or outside outdoors if they're comfortable with that, or if they prefer that, because some people don't like being on the screen, and that's pretty understandable. So yeah, so if people are interested in doing private sessions with me, yeah, I would encourage them to reach out. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Because I think a lot of people will be curious about what you're doing, because this is really an up and coming field as a yoga teacher and as a philosophy and stuff too. So if you guys are curious, just reach out to her and, see if it's a good fit for you. We'll include her information. And then you'll be seeing more Cam with some of the exciting stuff that he's doing. And so that brings me to this coming up Saturday. You guys are hosting our February charity class. And I'm going to let you guys just kind of take the ball with this, because this is his vision of what we'll be doing each month with each teacher that comes through. But also just talking about your charity, why it's close to you, and how people can come out and support that.
Well, so I found NAMI. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I've actually never used any of their resources, but what caught my eye about them was that because of my family history, this resource, had I known about it when we were going through what we were going through, this would have been very important to probably the success of our family and the stress that we had to endure. So for those of you that don't know, and I'm pretty sure probably almost nobody knows, but a couple of you may. My father and my sister were bipolar when I was growing up, and my dad was so kind of bipolar that he had like schizophrenic tendencies where there was very little, reality in our lives. Like it just, the world seemed very skewed. It was very, very stressful having two family members, and, with my mom just kind of like barely holding things together, there was just a lot of chaos in the house. And when I found NAMI, I thought, because we knew we wanted to do something with like either suicide or mental health, because my dad did commit suicide when I was 21, unfortunately. That finding NAMI, I was really impressed with the organization because they have resources for families. They understand that, people out there are going through these things. Like, you feel like you're the only one, but, as I've grown, as I've gotten older, I can't tell you how many people have been like, oh, yeah, I was really ashamed because this happened to my mom, or this happened to my dad, or this was my sister or my brother or whatever. So we all have like these dark secrets in our family life that we are, as growing up, we don't want to share or we're ashamed of, but we really need support and we don't have the resources. And this organization knows that. And I think it's really cool that they have all these resources and things for people to kind of benefit from and get them through these really rough times, because it's really, really difficult living with family members with mental illness. There's just so many things that come into play that I can't even, tell you, that it's just a constant stress. And this kind of an organization is really, really important. And especially like now with everything that's going on with COVID, this has been an extremely stressful year on mental health. So yeah, that's why Cameron and I, we found it. We're like, man, this is perfect. I can't think of a better way to support, our community. So.
Mm-hmm. That was kind of one of the ways that Lauren and I initially bonded, because I had a similar experience with my mom. And if anybody's curious about her story, I actually just published it on my blog at everymanyoga.com. It's the most recent blog post. But yeah, you can read it on your own. I won't go into detail, but it was essentially a family tragedy that was probably preventable had we had resources like the ones that are available through this organization. So we just wanted to kind of give people the opportunity, in me presenting my mom's story, I'm putting it out there, and it was a vulnerable experience, but I wanted to share it so that, because without question, there are people out there that have had something similar happen. So we want to just kind of normalize talking about these things, and that's kind of the biggest thing about this whole concept is if we start talking about it and start, shedding some light on it rather than constantly putting these things in the dark and pretending like we can't talk about them, who knows how many lives we could save just by helping somebody who we think is, unhelpable, or, finding the resources that are available for situations like the ones that happen with our parents. So it's something that's pretty close to both of our hearts. And I don't know, when we started talking about doing who we were going to do our charity for, it was kind of a no-brainer for us. It's like mental health, because
Yeah.
there's really nobody who doesn't know someone or have a family member who's has some kind of addiction or depression or bipolar disorder, or you name it.
Yeah.
So.
And I like that you said too, the whole idea of, let's remove the shame that we all have around those connections and those family members or friends. And it's like, let's really start creating a conversation around it. And so, I appreciate the story that Cam put out as absolutely wonderful in the sense of not what he had to go through, but the fact that he was able to just really pour himself out. And I would really encourage anybody to take a few minutes to really intentionally sit down and read it, because I think there's pieces of each of us woven in his story, or at least little mirrors that we can find of, the things that we've gone through in our own lives, and how the challenges that he went through and opened up about, and how it's really propelled him through the stuff that he's shared with us today and the journey that he's gone on in his life. And so really talking about these things is how we begin to open ourselves up to who we are, and share that with the world too. So thank you guys. So if you guys are free on Saturday, come join Cam and Lauren. Of course, our classes are limited right now, but all of the proceeds for that class will be going towards NAMI Ventura County, which is beautiful. And I'm so excited to know more about this organization, and how we'll be supporting them. And if you aren't able to make it to class or aren't able to get into class, we do have our PayPal page set up on our teacher feature page, which is probably where you're finding this video. So just scroll to the bottom of that page and you can click I want to help, and you can dive in and create a donation of any value. Anything will help at this point. And I just want to thank you guys for being our guinea pigs on this teacher feature and diving in and doing an interview. This was, I don't know, for me, it was a lot more fun than sitting down and doing pen and paper and reading with you guys, but it pulled, I feel like, pieces of you out that I didn't know about. And now I want to know so much more. So this is a fun beginning, and then we'll have you guys doing an Instagram takeover later this week. So you can do some follow-up questions for them of their love story and all the nitty-gritty stuff in between. So, and Murphy.
He's been laying under a blanket, stubbornly not coming out this whole time. So
but we can't forget about him. He's the trifecta.
It's the glue.
He is. Oh. Well, thank you guys so much. It's such an honor to have you teaching with Ventura Pop-Up Yoga, and we can't wait to continue to create with you guys even more. So
Thank you, Jessie.
See you guys.
Bye.